Hello everyone, welcome to another Fight in the Night review. This is for the one that took place on the prelims last night at the fucking Apex between Stephen Nguyen and Jarno Errens, and it went the full 3 rounds, so I've got to break it down bit by bit, bob by bob, as best as I can remember. Although I do want to shout out Andre Lima for being a based fucking king, because he won by DQ against Igor Severino, who it was Igor's first match, and he lost by biting Andre's bicep, and Andre got a tattoo to commemorate it with the words, "I got fucking bit bonus," because he actually got a bite of the night bonus check. The first time it's ever been given. And I just thought that was hilarious. I wanted to bring it up, and I wanted to shout out Andre Lima for that. But that's not the fight we had to focus on, because that wasn't real fight of the night. Although imagine if it was, goddamn no. This one was. So yeah, all 3 rounds. Let's go. We begin, as always, with round 1. Stephen fakes the glove touch and goes for a leg kick. Jarno lands a good combo. Stephen throws some teeps and more good leg kicks, causing some swelling on Jarno's left leg. The two feints a bit and Jarno throws a high kick, but Stephen catches it and takes him down, landing a couple of shots, but Jarno gets back up easily. Jarno starts to find his boxing range as well, landing good 1-2s and uppercuts, but Stephen lands some nice jab counters as well. Errens lands more good combos, mixing more kicks, while Stephen tries to keep him against the cage, but he eats another uppercut from Jarno. Jarno lands another leg kick, eats a body side kick, throws a spinning back fist, and he throws body straights and more punches as well, finding the rhythm and even busting Steve's nose open with a shot, while Stephen at some point also busted Jarno's nose open during the exchange. It's very difficult seeing what happens, but yeah, there's a lot of blood at this point. Jarno lands some solid stuff and eats a couple of jabs, and he tries a knee counter but sort of clips Stephen's cup. The ref doesn't pause the fight for this though, and Jarno sort of taunts Stephen a bit and throws a few strikes as the round ends. And very entertaining first round. Initially it was going to Stephen because I don't like the fake glove touch thing he did, but he was starting to find the rhythm really well with his kicks, but I'm still giving round 1 to Jarno. He was just countering a lot better. His boxing was on point, especially when he started landing his uppercut. He's got a nasty right uppercut. Threw really good hooks. Started countering with some leg kicks as well, even though his own left leg was swelling a bit from the kicks Stephen had landed on him. Jarno was countering quite well. And even though he had suffered a broken nose, I think, during the exchange, and Stephen suffered a busted up lip, Stephen looked a lot worse for wear, and blood was starting to pour a bit. And it was more noticeable on Stephen, who was wearing white trunks. For this, Jarno was wearing black, just to, balance that out. But yeah, it was starting to get noticeable, and I'm giving round 1 to Jarno. We then get to round 2. Stephen goes for a kick. Jarno lands nice slipping punches, but eats a stiff jab from Stephen, who keeps landing well to counter the teeps from Jarno. Jarno lands a really hard right, even getting some more shots off of his own, but Stephen throws more kicks and does counter well with his jabs, even evading a bit more. He's just using his defense a bit better this time around. Stephen lands a couple of rights straight down the middle, eats a side kick, and both men fake some spinning stuff, and Stephen lands another hard leg kick, but eats more punches. Jarno lands another good calf kick. Stephen throws punches to back Jarno up, but Stephen rolls his ankle, and Jarno takes some notice, throwing kicks to it. There is a very, very, very brief break after an accidental cup shot to Stephen again, but he keeps pushing Jarno back and throwing some jabs, eating more shots from Jarno, who even knocks Stephen down with a big right, but Stephen recovers, and the two clinch with throwing some shots within the clinch before the round ends. And this was actually a lot more even. I would say that this is the most even round of the fight, even though the right that Jarno lands, I didn't write this in the script, but it does knock Stephen down, and God, it looks nasty. It worsens the cut slash the damage that was already done to Stephen's lip, and the blood starts to fall down a lot more. It looks nasty. It's not absolutely gushing out, but it is starting to dribble a fair bit. And while Stephen was definitely being a bit more defensive and able to get his head rolls out, so he didn't suffer as much damage, it didn't really work, and he was still eating nasty leg kicks that did stop him from using his own. And I'm giving round 2 to Jarno as well. I just think he had much better control, and was starting to fight Stephen back at his own game. Even though he was eating the jabs, he did find a way around it and found really good ways to counter the counters that Stephen was throwing. So yeah, round 2 goes to Jarno. We then get to the third and final round, which they start with a tap and a hug before they actually start the fight, but I do like that, the tap and hug. That's just nice. Anyway, they begin with some hand clinching before breaking away, and they throw some punches in that hand clinching, sort of hand fighting. Oh, I don't want to do that again. And Jarno goes for the body a bit more. He did start doing that in round 2, but starts going for it a lot more in round 3. But not a lot happens besides that, really, in the opening going of round 3. Stephen does land a left, but Jarno wings some big rights, even throwing a knee that makes him slip, and Stephen jumps out and throwing some elbows and attempting a guillotine. Jarno manages to get up and slip out of the guillotine, and the two get back to standing as Jarno keeps attacking Stephen's damaged leg, much like he was doing in round 2. Jarno hits Stephen hard with the left that knocks him down, and he gets a takedown against the cage, but Stephen manages to stand up against the cage in a clinch and gets out of it quite easily. The two retake the centre, both throw a big right which Jarno gets the better of, but Stephen stays in it with some really good boxing. He even throws some more kicks, but Jarno counters with big punches, landing a big right uppercut and left hook combo. Stephen seems fine, well as fine as he can be, his lip is still looking really bad, and he toughs it out and he stays in Jarno's face despite eating more shots, and the two throw a bit more before the round and the fight ends. And I'm giving round 3 to Jarno. It was probably his best round, and even though he was definitely landing more and he got the biggest knockdown of the fight with that left, and he was just landing some super big things and throwing the leg kicks more and throwing in more body shots, Stephen, his heart was unfucking matchable in this fight. But I'll talk about that more in the closing moments. But yeah, round 3 I'm giving it to Jarno, and let's talk about it. So, somewhat fittingly, Jarno would win by unanimous decision, taking 30-27 across all cards. I normally don't bring numbers up. I normally don't bring the numbers up, but I felt like it was important to do, because if you look at the fight, it's one of those things where it is one-sided, but it was sort of a Max Holloway, Kelvin Cater situation back in 2021, where you just couldn't put down the other guy. It was clear that Max was winning the fight, but Kelvin refused to fucking die, despite absorbing, I think, still the most strikes in any UFC fight to date. And it was the same case here. Stephen absorbed a lot. He gave as good as he got, though. And even though Jarno landed the much bigger things, that's not to discount Stephen at all. The dude's tough, and this was his first UFC fight as well. And, him and Igor having a debut on the same night is pretty good, because Igor fucks up completely, and Stephen did a really good job, even though he lost, as well as Igor did. But yeah, it didn't look like Jarno was in a whole lot of trouble. His nose was busted open, and he did eat some nasty stuff, but he just looked better and a bit more energetic throughout the rounds. He managed to find counters and outsmart Stephen quite a bit. And even though Stephen was starting to put his defense together nicely in round 2, he didn't really do it much in rounds 1 or 3. And even though he did get a couple of big moments, those were mostly from slips from Jarno. And yeah, I would say that this is a really good fight. It's maybe in the top 10 because, again, quite one-sided, but it's really, really fun to see, to just watch the fight. It's a really badass fight as well. It's just a really cool fight to watch. Just seeing, they're both bloodied as hell by the end. Their bodies and shorts are covered in blood, as are their faces by the end. But, it's a good warrior fight between two very talented and very young prospects. Jarno's 29, and I think Stephen's 30. They're in their primes right now, and they put on a really good banger, and I recommend you go and find it. Again, it's a maybe on the top 10. I just really enjoyed it. That'll about do it for me, though. The next thing you'll see me for will be probably Music of the Week on Thursday, and then the halfway show for PBW vs ABW leading up to Break Even on Friday, and then also a reaction on Friday as well, because Unleash the Archers have a new album coming out, which I only found out about recently through my good friend Nitro, who's asked me to react to one of their songs, so it's going to be a request for him, technically. I don't remember the name of the song, but we'll get there when we get there. I'm not going to text edit it, because I don't really need to do that. But I'll see you all for Thursday and Friday, and yeah, that'll about do it. As always, thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye-bye.